1973, a Coca-Cola television commercial airs across Britain during prime time. It shows a group of children playing in a sunny park. They're laughing, running, drinking Coke. The jingle plays. It's the real thing. Families watch it over dinner. Nobody complains. Nobody calls it controversial. Because in 1973, this was just another soft drink ad. But if you look closer, if you really watch what's happening in that 30-second spot, you'll see why this ad could never air today. Why it was quietly pulled from rotation in the 1980s. Why Coca-Cola refuses to acknowledge it ever existed. This is the story of one British Coca-Cola ad that crossed a line we didn't know existed, and what it reveals about how far we've come. Let's start with what the ad actually showed. The setting, a British playground in summer. The characters, a dozen children aged roughly 6 to 12. The scenario, they've just finished playing football. They're hot, sweaty, thirsty. An ice cream van pulls up. But instead of ice cream, the vendor hands out ice-cold bottles of Coca-Cola. The children chug them down. The camera zooms in on their faces. Pure joy, relief, satisfaction. The voiceover says, "Nothing refreshes like Coke. The real thing for real thirst." Then the tagline appears. Coca-Cola, for energy when kids need it most. Seems innocent, right? It's not. Because what Coca-Cola was doing in that ad, what they did in hundreds of ads throughout the 1970s, was marketing a sugary, caffeinated beverage directly to children as a health product. And they knew exactly what they were doing. Here's the problem. In 1973, a single bottle of Coca-Cola contained 39 grams of sugar. That's nearly 10 teaspoons. The caffeine content? 34 milligrams per bottle, equivalent to a third of a cup of coffee. And Coca-Cola was advertising this to kids as a post-exercise drink, as something they needed. The ad didn't just show children drinking Coke, it framed Coke as fuel, as recovery, as essential. Today we know the science. Sugary drinks after exercise spike blood sugar, promote tooth decay, and contribute to childhood obesity. In 1973, Coca-Cola knew too. Internal documents released decades later, through lawsuits and Freedom of Information requests, prove the company had research showing the health risks of high-sugar drinks for children. They buried it. They kept advertising. Let's talk about the targeting. This wasn't a general ad that happened to include kids. It was designed, from script to casting to music, to appeal directly to children. The jingle was catchy, repetitive, easy to remember. The children in the ad weren't actors playing roles. They were depicted as real kids having real fun. Coca-Cola even distributed promotional materials to British schools, offering free Coke at sports days and summer fairs. One 1974 memo from Coca-Cola's British marketing division explicitly stated, "Our target demographic is children aged 6 to 14. Establish brand loyalty early. This wasn't accidental. It was strategy. Get kids hooked young, and you have customers for life." By 1980, British children were consuming an average of 3 sugary drinks per day. Coca-Cola owned 42% of that market. Now here's where it gets darker. The racial and class dynamics. If you watch the 1973 ad closely, you'll notice something. All the children are white. All of them are dressed in clean, middle-class clothing. The playground is pristine. The ice cream van is spotless. This was deliberate. Coca-Cola's British ads in the 70s almost never featured Black or Asian children, despite Britain's growing multicultural population. Why? Internal marketing research from the time, again released through lawsuits, showed Coca-Cola believed aspirational advertising required white faces. They thought middle-class white families had more purchasing power. They thought associating Coke with whiteness would make it more desirable. One 1976 Coca-Cola marketing report explicitly used the phrase, "target the white suburban family." Today that would be called what it is, racism. Back then it was called demographic targeting. Then there's the gender angle. Watch the ad again. The boys are playing football. They're active, sweaty, athletic. The girls? They're sitting on a bench watching, holding Coke bottles. They're not playing. They're spectators. This wasn't unique to Coca-Cola. Almost every British soft drink ad in the 70s depicted boys as active and girls as passive. But Coca-Cola took it further. Another ad from the same campaign showed teenage boys drinking Coke after rugby practice, while teenage girls handed them towels. The message was clear: boys do, girls support. Even in something as simple as a soft drink ad, gender roles were enforced. One feminist media critic in 1978 wrote that Coca-Cola ads taught British girls their role was to watch boys live. Coca-Cola never responded. Let's talk about the health claims, because that's what got the ad banned. Not the racism, not the sexism, but the lies. Throughout the 1970s, Coca-Cola ran ads in Britain claiming Coke provided energy, refreshment, and vitality. One ad featured a British Olympic athlete drinking Coke after training. Another showed a doctor, yes, a doctor, recommending Coke to tired patients. These weren't just misleading. They were false. Coca-Cola contained no vitamins, no minerals, no nutritional value whatsoever. It was sugar, water, caffeine, and chemicals. In 1984, the British Advertising Standards Authority finally stepped in. They ruled that Coca-Cola could no longer make health claims in ads aimed at children. The ice cream van ad was pulled. But by then, millions of British kids had grown up believing Coke was good for them. Here's the part that should make you furious. Coca-Cola knew the long-term effects. In 1977, internal Coca-Cola research, later leaked to The Guardian, showed company scientists had linked high-sugar soft drink consumption in children to increased risk of type 2 diabetes, obesity, and dental cavities. The research was conclusive. The company's response: they didn't stop advertising to kids. They didn't reduce sugar content. They didn't warn parents. They increased their marketing budget. Between 1975 and 1980, Coca-Cola's British ad spending targeting children tripled. They sponsored school sports teams. They put Coke machines in secondary schools. They ran competitions in children's magazines. They didn't just sell a product, they built a culture around it. And that culture made kids sick. Fast forward to today. That 1973 ad is nowhere to be found in Coca-Cola's official archives. The company claims it was lost or never preserved. But copies exist, uploaded by collectors, digitized by media historians. And when you watch it now, it's shocking. Not just because of what it shows, but because of what it represents. For decades, corporations like Coca-Cola had unchecked power to market addictive, unhealthy products directly to children. No regulations, no oversight, no accountability. They could lie about health benefits. They could target 6-year-olds. They could make a generation dependent on sugar and caffeine. And it was all perfectly legal. Today, Britain has some of the strictest advertising regulations in the world. Junk food ads aimed at kids are heavily restricted. Health claims require evidence. But the damage is done. British childhood obesity rates are the highest in Europe. And the generation that grew up on those Coca-Cola ads? Many of them are now dealing with diabetes, heart disease, and obesity-related illnesses. This ad didn't just sell Coke, it sold a lie. And that lie is still killing people.